So I spend 2 or 3 hours a day educating with all these different classes that they provide, educating. And then I meet with clients and I do what we call financial needs analysis with them. We break down, so we do financial planning with them. And you know this personally, financial planning. I write business for them. I advocate for them with different companies. And so my day looks different than nursing, but I get into the office, my office at 8 a.m. I don't leave until 8 or 9 p.m. So I spend 2 or 3 hours a day educating with all these different classes that they provide.
Welcome to Show Your Receipts, where we believe if you can see it, you can be it. Receipts are evidence or proof that something has occurred. Our guests are evidence that Black excellence is alive and well. They will be sharing their receipts on how they've been able to accomplish so much in their life. I'm your host, Tony Jackson. Let's get started. Welcome to Show Your Receipts, where we believe if you can see it, you can be it. We are super excited for our guest today. She has an incredible background. She's actually a dual threat with two careers. And so we're going to hop right into it. Sandra Wideman obtained her associate's degree from Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama, her BSN in nursing from Southern Adventist University, and she also had further education at UCLA Hospital in Los Angeles. Her certifications include Certified Critical Care Nurse, PALS, ACLS, NRP, BLS. She's a licensed certified financial planner, and she has a certification in long-term care with the CLTC certification. She was also a part of a team that created a new grad residency program. Other accomplishments are she was a part of a rapid response team with RNs, RTs, and medical doctors, a critical care transport team for almost 15 years, traveling by ground and helicopter to provide care under the auspice of a nurse. Sandy also later used her skills as a travel nurse. She's done medical mission trips across the U.S. and abroad, and we have her here today. Welcome, Sandy. It is a pleasure to have you on the podcast. How you doing?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Listening to that great introduction, I appreciate you guys inviting me here.
Absolutely. Well, your experience, Sandy, and your background has made the introduction so easy to do. I just read your accomplishments. You're a very accomplished person. And this is a very special interview for me, just because of the role that you play in our family. Sandy was the NICU nurse who helped deliver our oldest daughter. And so she's kind of like, a part of our extended family. So this is going to be fun. Let's hop right into it, Sandy. It's been said that money earned is a representation of problems solved. Could you please share with me, as a critical care nurse and NICU nurse, and then also on the flip side, also as a financial planner, what are some of the key problems that you saw for the patients in the nursing aspect? And what are the key problems that you saw for some of your clients from the financial planning aspect?
Key problems. Can you break that down a little bit?
Absolutely. So as a nurse, who's your typical patient that you're seeing? What kind of issues are they typically dealing with as a nurse? And how do you help that specific individual?
Oh, very good question. Thank you for asking me that. So in my specialty, one of the beautiful things about nursing is that you have so many avenues that you can take. So my expertise was in neonatal, newborn, sick neonates, as you know, and pediatric. So what I encountered was a gamut, because I worked in the cardiovascular unit. I was, Lord bless me, with so many avenues. I worked in the cardiovascular unit where I saw children coming in with multiple congenital defects, multiple issues with defects that needed cardiac surgery, say, or maintenance. Or in my neonatal experience, I saw babies. Of course, when I first started, the babies that we saved were 27 weeks and above, but moving forward, we progressed. Now we can say 22, 23, and 24 weekers. And I'm seeing these tiny little babies. I'm seeing miracles because they're born so tiny and they have so much drive to survive. And we provide that loving, special care to them. And I hope that answers your question. So cardiovascular was my first area I worked in. Neonatal was the second, and I broke off into rapid response critical care nursing, where we would fly to places where the reason we flew is because getting there quickly was not the key with pediatric patients. A lot of times when children get sick, they can't just walk into any emergency room. Not every emergency room is equipped to take care of a baby or a child. So they call it neonatal or pediatric transport team. We fly, we stabilize, and we fly them back to UCLA to further their care. In your case, where in Michigan, it was a situation where I was a travel nurse. So I went from staff nurse, and then I went to a critical care flight nurse, then I went to travel nurse, and all three areas were blessing. And so travel nursing, what did I encounter? My biggest challenge to travel nursing was really just having to say goodbye so fast. Travel nursing is just like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 13 weeks, and you get so attached to the staff, you get so attached to your patients, and you have to say goodbye to them. So same type of scenarios, but you have to say goodbye to them. But it was still beautiful, beautiful situations. And look at this. Now you and I are still friends after all these years, working in the capacity of friendship and professional level relationships. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, that was perfect. And man, I have to dig into this, and this is not our normal process on how we do the interview, but just the history that we have, it has to be discussed. Like, you played such a pivotal role in our daughter's life. I mean, that was the night that she was born was one of the scariest nights of my entire life. I was worried for my wife. I was worried for my baby girl. And I still remember when I went into the NICU for the first time and saw Lily and saw you, and you were just so calm. You were so peaceful. It's like I saw, it was like the Holy Spirit was like coming out of you. It was like you gave me that calming presence that I needed while I was terrified of what would happen to my daughter. I was terrified of what would happen to my wife. And so, man, I just want to thank you for just what you do. I know that my testimony is probably hundreds and thousands of other parents' testimony who you've worked with and the kids you've worked with over the years. So, man, I just want to thank you for that. When you were sharing that situation, I was almost getting a little emotional. And so I had to say something about it. So thank you. And so also now same question, Sandy, but in regards to financial planning, what are some of the common problems or issues that you solve or you help solve for your clients in the financial planning space?
Good question. And I also want to say thank you to you for trusting me with your little precious baby. What's that, 6 years ago?
6 years ago. She just turned 6.
That's 6 years.
Yep.
That's a whole testimony in itself. But to this question, moving into the financial realm of my career move, I'm still doing nursing, but I have taken on a whole new chapter in my book. Now, let me just divert a little bit and say to people who are listening is that look at Tony. I just love him and his wife because they don't stick with one chapter in their book. They have multiple chapters, they keep turning pages and adding chapters. I love this whole new chapter of this, show your receipts. I love it, and I want to hear more about it later on. But in financial business, I need to give you just a little bit of history so you can understand how I pivoted or how I added that to my book, my chapters in my life. Working as a nurse, most nurses are workaholics. We are so committed to just helping someone get better and helping them get to that end point where they can leave the hospital whole again. Helping the parents work through their grief, or we're always just giving and giving and giving, and we always tend to forget about ourselves. And we work and we work and we work, and then one day we wake up and we have no idea how to make our money work for us. We have no idea where we land on this platform of what now. I have maybe 5 years left before retirement, or maybe I am retiring, or maybe I was in 2011 or 29 or 2008 or 2009 when I'm looking at my 401, 403, and bam, first it was 400,000, or maybe it was 100,000, now it's 50,000. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, in 2011, I was that person. And I was working like crazy. I mean, they said when you work in your passion, it's not work. So for nursing, for me flying around and helping you guys, everything, I never saw nursing as work. I loved it. And I worked and worked and worked. And then one day, my CPA said to me, have you been following your 401k or your 403b? And to be honest with you, I was like, 401k, 403b. So anyway, fast forward, I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'm not sure how much time we have, but
As much time as you need.
but the beautiful thing about it is that she dropped a seed. She made me intrigued. And I realized that I did not know anything about how my money worked for me. And so I went to lunch with some of my senior mentors, my senior nurses and mentors who really had lost a lot of money in the 403b during that time. And I was sitting around the table with them, listening to them talk. And they all had their different takes. One said, well, I was told by someone not to worry about it. I lost 50,000, but I'll get it back. Then another person said, oh, well, I lost 150. I was told you just don't worry about it. That's just how life is. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, no, that's not how life is. That's not. You got to figure out how it works and make it work for you. 95% of people need to figure out what the 5% of people do to become successful. So I started praying. That's my fail-safe. That's my sword and my shield. I started praying. And Lord just opened up doors. My CPA told me, still advising me. And now I was finally listening to her. And I went to a networking party. I had the fortunate, I don't know if it's fortunate or just a blessing to meet this networking group of financial planners. Who they've taken it to a whole nother platform where they educate you. And the whole goal is to teach one to teach one. And it's nationwide. And so anyway, that's why I get so emotional. I get so passionate about this because for me, if someone had asked me 10 years ago, I would never have thought that I would ever be content with anything other than nursing. But there's so many other things out there that can bring you satisfaction, that can pave your path for success in life. And so I joined this financial group and I got licensed. I got certified. I did the training over a couple of years. And now I am able to pay it forward. Not only do I educate, I also am able to write business. And it's not just we don't even call it life insurance anymore. We call it family legacies. I also am trained in, this is not a plug. This is just telling me what I did. My focus is more medical people, but now I'm having clients from all walks of life. But I could help nurses understand how to make their money work for them. I could help them roll their money over. I can actually I'm a producer. So I can actually I can teach you, educate you, and actually make it happen, as you know.
You made it happen for us a couple of times.
And I follow up with you, annual review. So, it's just such broad subjects, and I'm so passionate about both my nursing and my financial. I love them both, and I feel so fortunate to be able to provide that service to nurses who are just workaholics, so they don't have to worry about trying to find a place to go. They can just come to me, and I go to them. Look, you're in Michigan, I'm in California, and I made it happen for you.
Absolutely. Also, so that actually leads me to my next question in regards to that dual threat that you are, both a critical care nurse and financial planner. Talk to me about the skill sets required. We can start with the nursing, but
okay,
if a person is watching this and they say, you know what, man, I've always wanted to be a nurse. I've always wanted to be a NICU nurse. I always wanted to be that person who's flying in helicopters and helping little babies and, helping save lives. Like, this is something that I want to do. What are the skill sets that are required? What are the traits that are common in people who are at the top of your field that you've seen like yourself?
Good question. So skill set and the comment. Okay, so this is where I would say, for nursing, you have to want to help people. You have to want to love on somebody else other than yourself. You have to want to be coachable and learn techniques and skills that are safe, because you're handling a life. I mean, I held Lily in my hand like this,
Right.
in my hand that day. I remember it was yesterday. You are responsible for that person, but you get proper training. And if you want that training, you can get it. I say go for it. We need more of us going. There is a slowdown of us going into the field. I mean, I was pre-med first. My first year in university, I was pre-med. And I was showing signs of being money conscious even back then at 17 and 18 years of age. I was very conscious of the fact of how much those student loans would cost. And how it would be like a sack on my back. So I diverted and said, okay, I'm going to get a nursing degree, and so I can pay my way through med school. But when I got into the nursing program and the skill sets you have to have, you learn all the just apply for it. I wouldn't say apply for LVN unless you just want to take the slow route. Let's go right for registered nurse. Do the 2-year and then the 4-year, and then head on to your master's if you want to lead. Figure out what your propensity is. I mean, what do you want to see yourself doing? You want to see yourself in the emergency room. That's a beautiful thing about nursing. Nursing, you don't have to be even touching patients. You could be a case manager as a nurse. There's so many avenues. If you want to talk to me personally, you can talk to me, but you can go into any university. They have a counseling session, and they will guide you through it. But personality traits, you have to be, the biggest thing is you have to want to give of yourself, because that's what you're doing. You're giving of yourself. You are helping someone else feel better. You are responsible for giving medications. You're responsible for learning the signs and symptoms, especially with neonates. Neonatology is micromanagement. You have to be able to, that baby can't talk to you like an adult can. No, that you have to be able to, it's a special skill set, and you have to have it going in, or you have to nurture it. Not anyone can be a NICU nurse. Most people can be adult nurses because adult can tell you what they feel or how they feel. And that doesn't mean you can't do it. You just got to go in and be of that mindset, because they give you special training for it and everything. But critical care, rapid response, flight nursing, it's a lot of people applying for a few positions. So I would say we're acquainted with a huge teaching hospital facility that has a good transport team. You can even hire into the fire department, become part of their team, get it on your credentials. You can become an EMT, EMS. As you wait for your acceptance into nursing school or into PM, whatever, that will get you there faster. They see you there, and then you can qualify for getting on those teams. It's amazing. I remember one scenario where I was flying with one of the helicopter pilots where he was taking us over Los Angeles, and we were heading to the hospital. He was explaining to us the reason why Kobe's plane, went down, because we were flying over the same area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so he was explaining to us, because we couldn't take off right away because it was a windshield factor. And then so when we finally took off, he was explaining to us how the wind shift can come up, around the mountains and spin the wheel. I mean, the tail. And so he was explaining this, and I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, what are your credentials? So I asked. I went in and asked, and and I was so proud of him. He had been he was a veteran, and he had been a fighter pilot in some, I don't know what war, but he was more than capable and had more than enough credentials to protect us in this little bitty tiny life that I was responsible for. So yes, I hope that answered your question.
That did answer my question. Yeah. I actually got a follow-up question, though, because you mentioned something. You said that you feel like there needs to be more representation, more African-Americans, more people who are going into nursing. You said that you've seen a slowdown. From an outside perspective, to me, it looks like there's more Black people going into nursing, but you say the numbers are actually going down. And so why do you think that is?
I think that, nursing had its glorious days when it was great to be a nurse and the hospitals would support you with these amazing pensions and incentives. And it was all about making that nurse feel important. And I was fortunate to be working during that time. And I'm coming up to, I'm coming out of a period where when I got into nursing, it was a great time to be a nurse. I think that it's not looked on as an amazing position anymore. And plus, but that's because it's not, what's the word, touted? It's not touted to be so. But we need you guys out there. We need more male nurses. And because patients are, we have a lot of, situations where it's more beneficial for a man to take care of a male patient. I just think that it would balance the playing field. So I think it's a good, how do you say, Tony? I think it's a good stepping stone to your next career. Like my intentions originally was to get into nursing to pay my way through my next career move. But I got into the transport team and I started doing mission work and I just loved what I was doing. So for me, loving what you're doing is more important than getting all the letters behind your name.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with getting all the letters behind your name if that's what you want. But I like to live within my passion. I like to be rewarded. And I'm taking that same passion of rapid response, critical care thinking into my financial planning for whoever needs me and stuff. So I hope they answered your question.
That did. And so now let's, kind of switch to the financial planning. Same question. What does a normal day look like for you as a financial planner? Are you like, got a meeting at breakfast time, got a meeting at lunchtime, on the phone, emails? Like, what does that look like? What is the day-to-day lifestyle of a financial planner?
That's a good question. The hardest thing for me in moving, well, I'm not moving from nursing, but I'm adding on to, like I said, my book, my life book. So, was to get into I don't know if you guys understand what this means, moving from a W-2 mindset to a 1099 mindset. So what I have done, and I get this quote from Eric Thomas, who is E.T. hip hop preacher.
Oh yeah, no, I love E.T.
Yeah, so
Detroit.
Yeah, yes, Detroit. Are you Detroit?
I'm from Ypsilanti, but we claim Detroit. We can claim Detroit. We're only 25 miles away.
From Dearborn. So hey, maybe that's why we.
Yeah. Oh, you're from Dearborn. I thought it was like Battle Creek or something. Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh yeah. Raised. So Eric Thomas, when I was in one of his sessions, he said that he's a self-made multimillionaire now, and so he said that I don't have to have a PhD. But I forgot what my mindset was in this. But I know that I wanted to tell you that what he shared with me when he said I got the PhD because I wanted to learn the language. Because if I'm going to be mingling with these types of people, I want to know the language. So for me, I know where I was going with this. Here it is. I didn't intend to do this. I'm going to do this. You want to know what I do all day for financial planning?
Absolutely. Well, absolutely.
I read. And this company, this group that I joined is that they are so into education. So I spend 2 or 3 hours a day educating with all these different classes that they provide, educating. And then I meet with clients and I do what we call financial needs analysis with them. We break down, so we do financial planning with them. And you know this personally, financial planning. I write business for them. I advocate for them with different companies. And so my day looks different than nursing, but I get into my office at 8 a.m. I don't leave until 8 or 9 p.m. because between the self-improvement, the education, taking all the certifications and then meeting with the client, then sitting down with them. I have a couple of clients. I would love you guys to hear their testimonies. The nurses came to me, they didn't know where to start. And they heard about me. They heard about that girl. I like that. I heard about that girl, that nurse. And I sit down with them and I help them start. They start. And how does that start? With the conversation, right? So that's my typical day, Tony, is I start with self-improvement, educating myself, going to all the different classes that are required to maintain your license, because I'm a certified licensed financial planner. and the government is extremely strict on your education. I mean, I think they're even more strict than they are with nurses. And so then I meet with clients. I meet with them and I walk them through and I take care of whatever they need to take care of. I can get more detailed, but I don't know if you have the time.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I actually got a follow-up question. So, make you share so much. You mentioned the fact that part of your workday, because most people we're trained that work is something you go and do, and then you get a check for it. You clock in, you sell something, you provide some service, and your boss gives you a check 2 weeks later. But on the flip side here, you are saying that part of your work is reading. Part of your work is professional development. And you showed me a book. I would venture to guess when I looking at the title of that book is not talking about 401ks and tax brackets and numbers. And so many people will say, what does reading that have to do with your career? So can you kind of explain to me how your commitment to personal development has a connection between your actual switch from the W-2 mindset to the 1099 mindset?
Okay. So, whenever I answer a question, I always have to give some content and place it in proper context so you can understand where I'm coming from, if that makes any sense. But that's a good question. So I don't know if you were too young to remember, I guess we both are too young, but too young to know the story of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I remember when I watched the documentary, not my words, or documentary.
And you're referring to Black Wall Street, right, in Tulsa?
Black Wall Street. That's absolutely right. And I get emotional when I bring that up because that's my driving force. And when I first heard about it and I studied it and I started reading about it because I wanted to understand the mindset. How did they get to be so successful? How did they get to a point where they became a threat? And then how was that? What happened to them? Now, I didn't really thrive on the evil. Well, I don't want to spin on this conversation, but if you read Black Wall Street, read Tulsa, you understand why I say the evil that occurred there that destroyed that mindset, destroyed that flow. It was one of the wealthiest Black concentration of Black people in America at that time, other than New York. And they had the concept of power of zero. They had a concept of compounding interest, the power of somebody. I got so much in here I want to get out that the sentences are kind of overlapping and it's making me stuck.
Okay, that's okay. I love it.
But I even forget. Okay, so I have always been like that, Tony. I've always wanted to know the behind the scenes things. How did they get there? How did they get to a place where they understood how money worked so that they could get there, and then they could help other people? So in order to get there as a 1099, you have to do self-development because there's no, with W-2, there is an orchestrated way of learning and there's a limit on learning. It keeps you, I don't want to get, start preaching in here, but it keeps you kind of in a place, where you're always making money for someone else. Mm-hmm. You're always making money for someone else and and it has a subtleness to it where it doesn't give you a way out. And you become complacent and you say, well, I worked 30 years and I retire and I sit on my front porch and complain about everything and then I'll die. But then you get to a 30, well, that's not every W-2.
Right.
Okay,
No, but
part of this. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I know you're not beating up on people with W-2 income jobs. You're just stating the obvious as far as the limitations that can come along with taking that.
So with 1099, you have to develop some discipline. You have to do some self development and studying, and you have to be prepared to burn the midnight on your own initiative. No one's going to say, be here at 8 a.m. and punch in this clock. You have to have a structure. You then have to have a vision and a goal. You have to have a why, huge why. Why am I here? I want to empower people to make their money work for them. I want us to regain some of that footing. And I also want to change the last name of my nieces and nephews. have an auntie who sits at the table who talks about finances and actually know what she's talking about, and have an auntie who's up and current, and bring to my clients, current events and how this works. Let me use an example. This kind of came to me. When I was growing up, I had 3 older brothers, and I remember they were like 10 years older. So I was really, really young, watching them change the oil in the car. And they would change the spark plugs, and they would be up under the car because they had their own little cars. They'd be changing all these things. What happened to that? Why don't we have that knowledge now? So because we've given up on all that. So I could easily see young Black boys earning money, changing oil. I know it's the farm net, but when you learn on your own, you learn concepts on your own, and you start teaching people these things, you regain that power. We just gave up a lot of our power. I don't know if I should, I would have stopped right there, Tony, because I get to that Michael Max kind of mindset. Well, we got to regain our control of our money. We got to know how money works and how to make it work for us. There is no reason why a 20-something-year-old can't be financially free by the time they're 45 if they sit in front of a financial planner and do it right and start it right. And
Absolutely.
So that's why I read books. Everything you need to know, it's like the Bible. The Bible is probably one of the oldest, steady, foundational things we have in this world. And it tells you everything you need to know. You just read, get back to reading, get off Netflix.
Right. That's it. Yeah. Hey, we should have a pop-up right there. Get off of Netflix and read some books or something. No, that was great. That's all. Sandy, so what I want to do now, Sandy, you've given us, we could literally stop right here, and anybody who's watching this and wants to learn about the mindset of what it takes to accomplish what you have, I think that you've given them some information, but we want to go deeper. We want to go back, Sandy. You mentioned your brothers being 10 years older than you. We would like to go back to your childhood, where you grew up. Who were early influences in your life? Were you always a good student as a kid? Were you always this young, smart person? Were you just, when you were a young kid wanting to do all of these things? Did you always have a passion for medicine? Like, talk to me about what early childhood life was like for you, elementary, middle school, high school. What were you doing? What were you into? Who was influential in your life at that time?
Wow, this is going to come as a shock to you. I'm living proof that you could be in a very poor situation and come up out of it. That's why I love hearing ET's testimonies. Eric Thomas, I love hearing his testimonies. I love hearing a lot of people's testimonies, how they were not born with silver spoons in their mouth. They didn't have the perfect picket fence. But I had a drive, and I remember, one of the things I would do as a child. Okay, so yes, so my brothers. Because at that time in our lives, it was required for inner city schools to have workshops. They had workshops in the especially the Black schools, So my brothers refused. My mom put the girls in private, religious schools. My brothers refused to go because I was in Jordan. It was like private schools. Then walk down the street, So they got all that extra that we didn't have in the private schools. We got things too, but so they would come home and they would, be out there fixing the cars and doing all these things that they learned in school. And for some reason, I noticed it. I noticed it, and I would stand there and watch them. I wouldn't be playing. I would literally be sitting there and watching them and asking questions. So at an early age, in my mind, I couldn't wait to change my situation. I would stand there and watch them, and if a plane flew over, I would watch that plane and I would say, one day I'm going to be traveling all over the world. One day I'm going to be in that plane. And at that time, we didn't fly in planes. We didn't have that kind of money, but I had already at a very young age, I had a vision. I had a dream. And what my mom did, so you asked me earlier, who were the influences in my life? And that's a very good question. Now my mom would be shocked to hear this, but she was my biggest influencer because she knew that we were in a poor situation and she didn't want that to continue for us. So she made moves in our lives to keep us off the street, the girls, because the boys refused to go to these schools. So and then on weekends, on Sundays, she would load us up in the station wagon. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you old enough to know about that white long station wagon with the.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Would call up in there, and she'd go to McDonald's. Back then, we were allowed to eat little McDonald's. No, not a vegetarian. We don't eat that stuff. That's a whole other conversation. So we would share one pack of fries. This is going to show you how poor we were, right? So we would have that 2 or 3 fries in our lap, and we would drive through what my mom considered at that time the richer neighborhood. And I don't know if you watched the movie King Richard, but
I have.
the kids through the neighborhood, we did the very same thing. And we would drive through the neighborhood, and my mom would go, if you want to live like this, you have to stay in school. You have to mind your manners. You have to stay in church. You have to go to college. She would say these things. So as we drove through these neighborhoods, we would be like, I like that house. I want that house. I want this house. So she literally instilled in us a vision, an ability to dream past your circumstances. So, so I don't know how well, I don't think she knew how well she did, because I would go to school and I would sit in there. I would always get the desk next to the window, and I would just sit there and stare out the window at the plane. And I would just be thinking, I'm going to be out of this situation soon, and I'm going to be able to just help my family, do mission trips. And even at that young age, that's how I thought. But my mom was pivotal. And then my 8th grade teacher, who started teaching me piano lessons, she would start thinking about what you want to do in college. So they kept feeding into my mind, you're going to go to college. It's an option. It is an option. You're going to go to college. Now, regardless of your circumstances, you're going to go to college, you're going to go to university. So feeding that into your children's minds, I encourage people to watch King Richard, because he and his wife led their thinking. Sorry, it's so emotional. He led their thinking, their mindset. So I say to people who are not born with silver spoons in your mouth, and parents who can provide everything to your heart's desire, I say, just change your mindset. Start going to communities. Put yourself into communities that are pushing you forward. Because the school we went to, the private school we went to, that's all they talked about was, when you go to college, what do you want to be? Or this class is gearing you up. So they put it into your mindset. So even if you can't see where that dollar is going to come from, it's a mindset. I hope I was able to answer that question. I think
absolutely.
Yeah. Although I was extremely distracted in school, I still came out of it as the valedictorian.
Wow.
I sure did. I certainly did. And I don't know how I did it, because I was always distracted. My teacher always complained about that to my mom. I don't know where she is. I don't know what she's thinking about, but she's daydreaming all day long. And I said, yeah, I just can't wait. Get out of here.
Yeah. So it's a couple of things that you said. One of my favorite Bible verses is, without a vision, the people perish. And our tagline here at Show Your Receipts is, we believe if you can see it, you can be it. And so I would love to dig more into the fact that your mom driving you through these neighborhoods, and your teachers speaking life into you, speaking expectation into you. Talk to me about I guess my first question is, do you think that you and I would be sitting having this conversation right now, that you would be the Sandy Wideman of today without your mom speaking that into you on a regular basis, without those teachers speaking that into you on a regular basis? And, just kind of what was the result of that for you, them talking to you that way and setting that high expectation for you?
There's a saying that I use, and, forgive me for a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Take as much time.
That's a saying. Oh, goodness, I couldn't believe it. I didn't expect to get emotional here, Tony. Thanks a lot.
Well, you started it.
But for the grace of God, I saw God's hand in my life early on, and because my mom was intentional about teaching us about who Jesus was and about God, and put us in private schools. And she's working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. And so we would get up every morning and dress ourselves and walk the 3 miles to this school. So our mom had to go to work to pay for the tuition for the school and everything. But as I got older and I continue in that vein, I realized that a lot of things that happened in my youth was but for the grace of God.
Mm.
The Lord clearly tells you in his word that he will make your yoke easy and your burdens light if you look to him. If you cast all your burdens on him, if you bring it to him, he will make your yoke easy and your burdens light. It doesn't mean that life won't happen because, we live in a simple world, there are consequences of behavior, et cetera, et cetera. But I see his hand. I saw his hand in my life then, and I do plan to write a book. I know when if I can get the time. I do want to put a book together that's about my mom, because she's done some amazing things in my life that I can't thank her enough for. And then fast forward, after we got all out of the house, all went to university, she went back and got her associate.
Mm.
If I had to put my life next to my mom's and say what my mom accomplished, what little she had, and what I come
Right.
my mom far exceeds me.
Wow.
Far exceeds me.
So wait a minute. All of you, how many siblings do you have?
What is 8 of us? I have 7.
8 of us. So all 8 of you went to college?
All 8 of us went to university except for my
Wow.
oldest brother. Yes.
Wow. Your mom is definitely in the Hall of Fame. She's in the Hall of Fame, coming from where you guys came from. Wow, that's amazing. But I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I think that it's the one brother. I know he went to military, but then he came out and he went to university. Okay, so yeah, 7 of us went to university. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Her life, and we had to compare apples to apples. And my mom, she accomplished much more than I ever could, because she's well, that's it.
Yeah. Shout out to Mama Wideman. Yeah.
I hope that she hears this.
Absolutely. Great job, Mama. That is amazing. That is amazing. Coming from, I'm definitely a mama's boy. And so, I have very similar testimony. So that's amazing. Let's dig into post-high school. You going to a university. Sandy, what number are you as far as your siblings?
I am, I have 2 under me.
2 under you. So you're one of the youngest. So you saw some of your siblings go off to college.
Yes.
You saw that. Tell me about your experience leaving home for the first time and going to university, being on this new, in this new college. What was that experience like for you? Did you experience any unique challenges coming from the Metro Detroit area, being an African-American woman? Tell me about that experience when you made that transition to college.
Oh my goodness, I was so excited to just go somewhere outside of Detroit. I couldn't wait to get on that plane. I couldn't wait to leave. And it was, okay, so I didn't have any challenges as a African-American female in the first university I attended, because it was the iconic, beautiful Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. It's similar. That's an amazing university. And it's, I think 80%, now it's probably 60% Black, but at that time it was probably 80% Black. And it's a religious university. So my course there was kind of nondescript, because I was literally going from one home to the next home. I mean, it was like my brothers and sisters, basically. And they had nurturing teachers, and I was very, they had, it was just a beautiful experience as a platform for someone who literally leaves high school at 17 and go into an environment. It was a very supportive. They assign you campus brothers, campus sisters right away. So it was pretty much nondescript. I mean, it was really like going from one nurtured environment to the next nurtured environment. But then at the end of the 2 years, I purposely chose to leave that majority Black environment to go to a majority white environment. Because at that time in my life, I kept thinking, when I go to heaven, it's going to be more than just Black people there. And I need to figure out how to get along with them. I need to figure out how to make friends with them. I need to figure out how to get behind that iron curtain that the politicians in the world wants you to see to keep people separate. And at that young age, that's how I thought. I need to get to a place where I see them for who they are and respect them and honor them. Like I want them to respect honor me. I know that's a long-winded statement, but that was my mindset. So I left that beautiful, nurturing environment and went into the wolves. But the thing about it was is that being raised in Detroit, I was a very strong-minded person. None of that really. So
you can't let words hurt you growing up in Detroit.
Exactly, especially with brothers and sisters and fighting all the time. And I made some really, really good friends. And I realized at that school that that there are some great people who are sincere, and there's some people who really come from backgrounds that are indoctrinated in their mindset. And they just don't understand. They just don't know any better. And the only way they're going to know any better is to be exposed. So I literally made friends with those type of people just to let them see who I was. It worked with some, and some you can't help. You just got to just let them be, and God work with them. But it was a great experience, and one of the best experiences I took away from that, I'm not really sure I'm going down a path that you want me to go down, but one of the best experiences I had is that I realized that the nursing instructors at that university, they were white, but they were the same loving, kind, supportive instructors, just like at Oakwood University. They just looked different. And, I had a very, very bad habit. And if I would go back in time, I probably would be doing the same thing. Tony, I did not want student loans. So I worked in the evenings at the hospital. And they knew I did. So they would cartel the homework around my schedule. They would let me come in on Sunday and take a test that I couldn't take. These people, so it helped me break through that indoctrinated American image you have of other races and stuff. Probably doesn't affect you guys, but at a time, but now, so I'm extremely loving to everybody now, and I don't see people as color anymore. I see people as who they are and on their character. I base them on their character, as Martin Luther King said, and he got that from the Bible. So you go back to the Bible again, and the Lord said, them by their character. So I have some really good friends in all different races now, and I'm glad I made that move, because now I know how to work with everyone, and I know that there are good people in every situation. So I tell people, and I know it might even be a factor now because we, a different era and everything, but back then I had to make that move because I had to be able to work with them in a hospital setting and make friends with them. And it's something I'm saying them, it's a whole other, but it's just other people who look different than me. Because you might, in a very Black concentrated environment, you go up to the university for the first 2 years in a very Black concentrated, it really makes you strong in who you are. But it doesn't equip you to yield for other people's idealisms and way of thinking. To give them room and help them give you room, and you meet in the middle. So I've had some really good friends, and we have these conversations. I think I don't know, maybe I went off a deep end with that one, but
no, that's great. That was great.
All right, give you wait.
No, it's no such thing as too much. So the worst is when people have nothing to say. So no, this is awesome. Yeah, that actually brings me to, let me go back. I want to dive into kind of underline some of the things you said. You mentioned the point about when you're coming from an all Black environment and then you go out into the normal world, which is basically the opposite of that, you have to make some kind of adjustment. That's kind of the purpose of this podcast, is because, me, I grew up in a mostly Black environment, went to a mostly Black high school. And when I went to, college at the University of Iowa, it was like, whoa. Well, it took me about 1.5 years to kind of feel comfortable. And even by my senior year, I still sometimes walk around campus and feel like I wasn't even really a part of this campus. Even though I was on the football team, we were winning Big Ten, we were winning championships and all this kind of stuff, I still felt separate from. And so we wanted to be able to create content to let anybody who's watching, who may be in college, who maybe is on the way to college, who has a similar background to us, to know that a lot of people feel that way. It's okay, that you can still get through it. And your story of how you had both, and you had a very unique experience because you had both the all black experience and then the traditional experience. So you got a chance to experience both at the same time, and it's obvious that it's prepared you for your careers now. So, no, that was amazing what you shared. I got a few questions as we kind of wind down here. You mentioned the fact that you are a passionate reader, and that reading, not that you're a passionate reader, that reading is actually a part of your work. It's a part of your development. If you had to name a book or two that's been influential in your development and influential in your ability to excel as you do as a financial planner, excel as you do as a critical care nurse, what one book would you maybe recommend or suggest for our viewers?
Oh, it depends on what level the viewers were on, but so obviously I give you content and then put in proper context so you can understand where my answer is coming from.
And that's fine. That's fine.
So that's a very good question. So one of the things that I learned in getting into this financial business, and that's what I'm so thankful that took action and did this, is that I'm going to use an old saying and I'm going to put it into vernacular. Times they are changing. Times they are changing. We are moving away from your traditional Social Security, your traditional pensions. In other words, back in 1950s and 1960s, the government set up these platforms where if you worked and you gave your precious years, then you had something at the end to look forward to. That's our parents, right? Yeah. Our parents had something to look forward to because as they came up out of that time frame, they started to retire. They had Social Security, they had Medicare, and they had pensions. And I think what people, this is a little bit education here, if you don't mind. Is times that are changing, and the way we got pensions, the way we got Social Security, the way we got Medicare is people were working and wanted to work, and they were feeding into the system, if that makes any sense, so that those who came after them would have something waiting there to pay them, and then the next group would feed into the system. So it was like you feed into the system, you pay into the system, and then there's a reward for the people who work and push you forward, and then I don't know if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So, goodness, I don't know how to break this down. So I need to read books that are going to bring to me what the 5% of this world is doing. And what are the 5%? 5% are the billionaires, or the multimillionaires that know how to make their money work for them. They're the ones who make the rules. They're the ones who can shift the activity of the market. They're the ones who can determine whether that market is going to crash tomorrow or keep it kind of like a pseudo level so it doesn't completely crash, and keep your money in there and all that kind of stuff. So what can I read to keep me forward and abreast of all that so I can bring those concepts and those new ways of making your money work for you to you? Well, how can I bring the information from that 5% of people to you in a comprehensible way, if that makes any sense? So I read these kind of books. I read The Power of Zero because, so you want to know my favorite book right now? This is it. This is it right here. I keep showing that. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it.
Power of Zero. Because times are changing. No more do you want to go into retirement with all of your income or retirement income taxable. Yeah. Because we don't have those fail safes anymore. We don't have the pension that's going to be coming to you every single month, like my mom does, every single month until the day you die. We don't have that anymore, when most of us will not. And we don't have, you can't really rely on your 401 and 403 because you can see how vulnerable that 401 and 401k is when the markets, when it's volatile, when there's a volatility. You lose half of your cash in there, half of your retirement funds in there. So you got to come up with other strategies. Times are changing. You got to come up with new concepts. What are other people doing? They're out there. They're all out there, guys. They're out there. And all you have to do is just sit down with the planner, figure out what you have in place, what you need to do. So what books do I read? I read books on how to make money work for you, My favorite book, okay, this is not a cliche, but I spend almost an hour a day reading my Bible.
Mm.
You know why? Because you make God first and he will lead you, right? So he's leading me to all of this stuff. He's leading me to all these, and he's opening my mind to understanding these concepts and how to break them down to my clients and how to make your money work for you in this new era that we're moving into. And I think, that's a broad answer to a very...
It's a great answer.
Okay.
It's a great answer. That may be the best answer I've ever gotten from that question. And just to wrap up, so the purpose behind this podcast is to do a couple of things. First and foremost, we want to celebrate the performance of Black professionals and entrepreneurs like you. So, man, we celebrate you today, Sandy. We thank you for all that you've done in both the healthcare field and the financial field, probably two of the most important areas of our life. The only other thing that you probably can add on to it that will be equally as important is maybe if you're going to become a minister or something like that. But you are dealing with the deepest and most important issues of human beings, our health and our wealth. And so, we want to thank you for that. Secondly, the purpose of this podcast is to provide the visuals, accurate visuals of what's going on, because so many times we hear people talking about us as African-Americans, and we're always, from a success standpoint, we're always entertainers or athletes or all of these different things. And so it's great to, we want to get more visuals of Black professionals out there. But third and final is we would like to be able to build a community and grow a community and a network of young people or people who maybe not as young, but who want to make career changes, and people who want to be able to have access to relationships and mentors. My question to you is, are you currently mentoring anybody in the nursing realm, in the financial planning realm? And the follow-up to that question is, if someone were to reach out to us because they watched this video, would I be able to connect you to someone who is an aspiring nurse or is an aspiring financial planner?
The answer to that is yes. I'm in the process of, I've had 2 new people join my financial journey. And so I am training and nurturing them and building them up so they can take this information back to their community and assist their community. And they're down in Florida. So I'm training them all on Zoom. And then I fly down and we meet. So yes. So I know that we're rounding up. Let me tell you this. This is another thing that I'm passionate about. We are identified with entertaining and being an athlete. Awesome. If that is our blessing, don't let anyone take that away from us. You know what I mean? If that is what we are strong in, continue to be strong in it.
Absolutely.
We are, our physiques, our mindsets, and we can be the best athletes. Don't let anyone ever say you shouldn't pursue that. I'm just talking to people, you're not you. But, and then like entertainment, if we are the best singers and the best entertainers, applaud that, but always have a minor. Always have a minor. If you are in a NFL or you are, going to school to be, into sports, always have a minor. Go into like CPA or AI or something. Always have a backup because athletes can get injured.
Absolutely.
And they can make a ton of money really, really fast. And then all of a sudden, because no one showed them how to make that money work for them, they can wake up one day and plus, athletes didn't have a whole lot of friends and family members who first start making all that money. Entertainers, so as a Black race in this country, always have a minor. Never go into school with just one major. Always have a major and a minor, and always cultivate both so you can have always something to fall back on. And I will always say have that minor in something that's going to help you understand, like CPA or informatics, something that's going to always be useful and etc. So, can you get in touch with me? We're always looking. Our business is expanding. Our financial business is expanding. We're nationwide now. We're going over into Canada. The Filipinos and Hispanics have just taken this whole financial concept and ran with it in their communities. That's why I want to run with this in my community. But me, I want to run with it with whoever needs it. I'm not just going to put it right into a pocket but whoever needs it, but with a focus on us, and etc. And nursing wise, I have dinners at my house and I try to encourage the nurses who are nurses, who are just starting out. And they have now give them a platform where they can vent, their stories. And this happened to me in the workplace. That happened to me in the workplace. And this person said this and this person. And I try to encourage them to not be so easily riled. Because if they see you can get through that first skin, that's it for you. You have to go into the workplace knowing who you are, or who you belong to, and be prayed up and know who you are, and then have a support team. Yes, I would love to talk to anyone who needs to talk to me or want to talk to me or you want to join me. I'm so blessed to be on this platform. I so appreciate you for giving me this platform to talk on. I tend to think sometimes I talk too much.
No. No such thing. No such thing as talking too much on the podcast.
Yes. So I really, really, really appreciate you. And I'm so glad that you're doing this. I'm so proud of you. Show your receipt. I love that. How'd you come up with that name? Show your receipt. Show it. Reveal it. Let the world show it.
That's right. It just came up. But man, I thank you, Sandy. So my last question is, for that potential mentee, for that potential member of, your financial planning team, where should people look to find you? Is it an email that you want to provide? Is it a social media handle that they could best reach you? How can people get in touch with Sandy Wideman?
Right now, okay, so you know what? There's a Goliath in my world. Social media is a Goliath to me. So I actually hired a coach to get me into social media. Because it's like a big giant, it's like a world unknown. But for right now, they can reach me through email. I'd be more than happy. I'll reach out to them and add them to my. So I am right now building my platform with Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. And once I get those up and running, then I will add that to my list. But right now, email. Yes.
Email. Okay. And what's the best email address for you?
So it's going to be financial topics with an X. Do you have that email?
Okay. Yeah, I have it. Yep. And we'll put that on the screen somewhere around here. Financial topics today. Okay, perfect.
At Gmail. Yes.
At gmail.com. Financial topics at gmail.com. Perfect. Sandy, I want to thank you for taking time to do this. This has been amazing. I truly believe that your story, your testimony, the receipts that you've shown is going to impact somebody. And so thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for having me.